Good afternoon, and welcome to Financial Tools and Resources for Low-Income Individuals, Tools for the Path to Prosperity. My name is Rondell Clay. I'm the Regional Director for the Eastern Region Training and Technical Assistance Center. I'm a member of the Sistenwapatinoyate from the Enemy Swim District on the Lake Traverse Reservation. I've been a director for the Eastern Region TNTA Center for ANA for the last 14 years. My background is primarily in education. I've worked with infants all the way up to adults during my career. So, enough about me. Let's go ahead and get started. Our topics for discussion today are America Saves Week, earned income tax credits, and programs providing financial tools and resources in community-based settings, specifically Native community-based settings. Now, our topic for today was not a random choice. February 23rd through 28th is the America Saves Week, where the promotion of good savings behavior and getting the word out about savings being providing a good safety net during an economic crisis, and also allowing folks to save for unexpected emergencies so they don't get stressed out over not having the money available to deal with whatever that emergency may be. ANA embraces savings as a way of making Native people self-sufficient. However, before we get into ANA's program around savings, let's look at another issue that influenced our choice of the topics. It's tax season, everyone. And I know everyone's just looking forward to filing their tax returns. So let's start off with the Earned Income Tax Credit. The federal income tax credit for people who work and earn low to modest incomes, those who qualify and claim the credit could have one of the three outcomes listed. They may pay less tax, pay no tax, or actually get a refund. And unfortunately, this is one of the federal income tax credits that hasn't really caught on for some reason. It's advertised, but people just don't seem to take advantage of it. So let's look at how you go about qualifying. EITC is for workers whose incomes do not exceed the following limits in 2014. And they give 4 different limits depending on whether you're married with children or not, because even if you don't have children, you could qualify. 3 or more children and married filing jointly, the household income could be $52,427. If there is only one adult in the household, $46,997. For 2 children filing jointly, $49,186, or $43,756 for a single adult in the household. 1 child, $43,900 or $38,500, and then for a household with no children, married filing jointly is $20,020, and a single person individual would be $14,590. And your investment income has to be less than $3,350. There are some specific rules around children, qualifying the number of children that you have. There is a special IRS publication, 596, that explains and helps you work out whether all your children qualify or not. How do you find out if you qualify? An Earned Income Tax Credit Assistance is an online tool on the IRS website. It'll help you determine qualifications for going back all the way to 2012. Just below that we have the full URL address to get to the assistant so that you can check. You can always go back and claim the credit on an amended return. So please visit the website. Now, you must file a tax return, and it's not too late to claim, like I said, for going all the way back to 2011 if you qualify. Keep in mind that the qualifying rates vary from year to year. But it's highly recommended that you can either do the research yourself on the IRS website or check to see if your community has a VITA program. VITA program is a volunteer income tax assistance program that brings trained tax preparers into the community to assist low-income individuals and families in preparing their tax returns. Preparing tax returns can be overwhelming, especially today. There are so many issues you have to be aware of. The Affordable Care Act, for one. There are health insurance questions on the tax return this year. If you don't know anything about the special conditions set forth in the Affordable Care Act for Alaska Natives and American Indians, it's important that you find out. To find out more about that and the requirements, there is a website listed on our resource page, which we will display at the end of the webinar during the question and answer period. So please keep an eye out for that. As far as VITA goes, ANA's has teamed up with the Office of Community Services and specifically their Assets for Independence program in order to develop a new initiative that's called the Native Asset Building Initiative. And I guess I shouldn't say it's new because it's been around for several years now. What the Native, and we call it NABI, what NABI provides is a way for Native communities to develop their own asset building programs using individual development accounts or IDAs. This program assists low-income individuals or families to develop financial assets that will help them further their education, buy a home, or start a business. What is important about the program is it's not just about saving money. Participants in the program receive financial literacy training, financial counseling, and other support services to help participants get on a path to financial independence. And the VITA program happens to be one of the programs that are typically offered for NABI grantees. I would like to introduce you to our first presenter. Our first presenter is Lakota More. She is the Assistant Director at Four Bands Community Fund. In this role, Lakota supports the leadership of Four Bands and establishes new and fosters existing partnerships, leads and manages efforts to reach organizational goals. Lakota is an enrolled member of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. She graduated from the University of Notre Dame with a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. Upon graduation, she joined Teach for America and taught on the Rosebud Sioux Reservation at Todd County High School. Lakota obtained her master's in social work from Washington University in St. Louis with the Catherine M. Booter Center for American Indian Studies. Lakota individualized her course of study to concentrate on economic security and social development through life courses of American Indians. So let me turn this over to Lakota.
Hi everybody, thanks for being on the webinar and thanks for having me, Administration for Native Americans. The title of my presentation, and just to kind of jump off what Rundell mentioned, we do provide those similar services that she began the presentation or this webinar with the EITC and the VITA site, and I'll try to touch on that. And additionally, Four Bands Community Fund is also a NAVI grantee, or the Native Assets Building Initiative. So if there's any questions at the end of this, I'd be happy to answer offline or online any questions. Today I'm just going to talk briefly about developing Native American entrepreneurship and helping tribal economic growth. Next slide, please. I'm not sure if folks on the line are familiar with the CDFI Industry, which is, stands for Community Development Financial Institutions, but I'll just give a brief background. It's always good for a refresher. An overview of the industry is that in 1994 there was an act. It was a bipartisan act passed by Congress. It's called the Regal Community Development and Regulatory Improvement Act, which said that there needed to be sort of more services to low and underserved communities, and that also mandated that there be a study done in Native communities to see sort of some of the barriers for access to capital. So finally in 2001 they published the Native American Lending Study, which revealed some of the things that we're all familiar with. Native Americans were having a hard time gaining access to capital. They found financial institutions to provide a lot of barriers. And some of the reservations actually didn't even have financial institutions or communities serving natives. So the Department of Treasury set aside specific funds which funded what my organization does. So it's called the NACA. You can see it here on my slide. It's Native American CDFI Assistance Fund. So each year we apply to the Department of Treasury to receive funds to go into our revolving loan fund, and then we can support any sort of entrepreneurship ideas in our community and do loans through that fund, and then it just revolves back in as they pay it back. If you can see on the map, I know there's a lot of people on the call. I tried to produce a good visual of where some of the CDFIs are located across the United States. Four Bands is also a part of the Native CDFI network, so I can give you a larger map of this if you want. It's in a better graphic if you would like that at the end of the webinar. Okay, next slide, please. Just to be clear, in CDFI, the F does stand for financial, which I sort of mentioned, but the primary activity of CDFIs is lending and providing financial services. In our community and in all CDFI communities, we have to choose a target market that we can serve, and within that market we have to develop financial products to meet that market. We do take higher risks on our loans. Oftentimes the clients that come to us have been denied by regular financial institutions, and so it takes a lot of technical assistance to get our clients loan ready, but it's what we do and it's a part of our mission. Next slide. And as you all are aware, there are very unique conditions in Indian country when it comes to lending and supporting folks getting access to capital. We do have, an underdeveloped economy, most of us. It's really heavily swayed into government usually and private, I guess, more so government. It controls most of the economy. I know here on our reservation, our anchor institutions include the school system run by, Bureau of Indian Education. We have an Indian Health Service, which is also governmental, and then you've got your tribal government. So there's not a lot of private economy. We know that ownership of land in Indian country is more complex, which leads to collateral issues when you're trying to lend. And then it also makes collections a bit more difficult when you have to ensure that your tribal courts have the proper infrastructure to support collecting, which I could speak for days on, but I can save that for another webinar. Next slide. So just a little bit about Forband's Community Fund. We are a native community development financial institution. We were incorporated in 2000. Our first loan was done in 2002, and we're sitting here in our close to 15th year. Our mission is to create economic opportunity to build strong and sustainable small businesses and increase financial capability for assets and wealth. Next slide. A little bit about us, if you're not familiar with Cheyenne River Reservation, we are in north central South Dakota. Up there in the purple part of this map is where our reservation is located in the state of South Dakota. We are in Dewey and Ziebach counties, and Ziebach was at one point listed as the poorest in the United States. I think it kind of fluctuates between us and Pine Ridge, Shannon County, so I don't think we hold that title anymore, but it just goes year to year. 80% of our population is Native American on the reservation, but unfortunately about 1% of the businesses are Native owned, so we've got a lot of work to do to develop that sector. We do have a huge geographic region, and people generally travel 50 to 100 miles for services or employment, so cars are essential in this community and methods of transportation. We do have a pretty high unemployment rate. Different statistics show it, but the census recently showed it at 80%. We think it's closer to 47%, but either way, it's higher than the United States average. Next slide. This is a little bit about what we were able to accomplish with the sort of suite of services that Forband's provide. So I'm just throwing a lot of numbers at you, but considering the amount of poverty we have in our community, they're pretty profound numbers and speak to the strength of our community and what we do. We have been able to disperse over 965 loans within our community, which is about 8.4 million deployed. So that's what's circulating in our economy right now. We have created or expanded about 175 businesses, and from that, 500 jobs were either created or retained. We have this is the technical assistance side that I'm talking about, but we have about 417 people who graduated from a business development class that we call Create. They take a 6-week course and graduate from that and have their business plan ready to begin to implement that in the community. We also do youth entrepreneurship to get the kids exposed to jobs and working. And we had about 165 kids complete that. There's also a match savings component, which we use our NAVI grant to help fund. We have total served about, or just in general, in the year 2013, we served 828 customers on the reservation, and I think our population is close to 8,000. So we touch quite a few folks a year, which we average about 479 clients a year. Next slide. So lots of times when you're looking for funding, people ask you what your theory of change is, and when you talk about the CDFI industry, it's not just the lending. Forband's grew out of this theory of change model where we believe our community first needs to be educated and develop financial capability, and you see it at the top of the arrow there. Educate first, which includes all of our technical assistance and financial management classes, which I'll go into depth here a little bit more. The next level, after you get folks educated and up to par with things, we can go ahead and get them loan ready and finance them through our revolving loan fund. And next, after that point, you've sort of got to work and incubate those businesses and keep them in business. There's a lot of things that go into maintaining a business, including financial management, and most of our clients actually, nobody went off and got an MBA and are ready to manage businesses, but they've got the passion and the drive. So we continue to provide and incubate the small businesses on the reservation after they've received financing. And then we go on a national level and just advocate for different support systems that are needed in Indian country. And we do a lot of advocacy with our own tribal government, like I mentioned, building up the infrastructure of our tribal court systems, et cetera. So this is our theory of change model, and I think most CDFIs sort of go through this system. Next slide. So speaking about education and sort of the theme of this webinar, I just wanted to mention that, we really view credit as an asset. We have a lot of clients that come through our doors and actually have insufficient credit. Our financial institutions, we have 3 of them on the reservation. None of them reported to credit bureaus. So even if folks were good loan clients, it wasn't hitting their credit report, and they weren't able to get access to financing off the reservation or even just get a car loan. So here we started with seeing credit as an asset, and building the credit scores is really important to us. So we keep track of that, and to date we've had 199 people reach asset-based savings goals. We do provide a lot of financial education, and we have our own curriculum here that we require each person to access any of our products. They have to take a self-study course called Credit When Credit is Due, and so we've had 684 people complete that. We do have a match savings program. We do a regular traditional IDA program on the individual development account, where people can save for an asset, including education, home ownership, or business. And then we also have the youth match savings program, where they can save for education. And we've given about or matched about $445,000 in matching funds to support those goals. And then we also conduct the VITA, the Volunteer Income Tax Site. We know a lot of our community members need access to free tax services, so we're able to date, file 2,461 tax returns, and which means about a total refund returning to our community of about $3.9 million, so we're pretty proud of that. We also do a lot of workforce development. So you can create and grow entrepreneurship, but if you can't get folks into jobs, you sort of run into a dead end. So we've developed partnerships with the tribe and local businesses to expand those opportunities. Next slide. One of the most unique opportunities we've had, I guess, in that workforce development is the recognition from our tribe to provide personal finance training for their employees. And I'm not sure if folks in the line have heard or have similar situations, but our tribe allows payroll deductions to happen. So if you're a tribal employee, you can payroll deduct, and it's supposed to be only up to 50% of your paycheck. However, they've had a few people abuse that, which puts families in jeopardy if they're only able to take home a $10 paycheck at the end of the pay week, and that's not, you can't pay your bills and you can't buy groceries on $10. And so the tribe had the forethought and the foresight to see that they needed to provide personal finance training to their employees. So we were able to be selected as the provider of that training. We had about 500 tribal employees to train, and what I've produced here on the slide is a little bit of a how-to guide. I've been asked a few times about how to do this or how to get your tribe to participate in something like this. So the first thing I would advise is just selecting your community partners. And so we had a good relationship with our administrative officer with the tribe and a local bank, their first financial bank. So we got our partners on board so that we could get help in doing the training, because it's not cheap. And the next level was to create a budget. I wanted to be able to gain money, or at least not lose money on this, with giving my staff, taking their hours provided to this type of service. So we did a budget. It was kind of new for the tribe to be asked to pay for our service, but they were willing partners. And then we also got the private bank to donate and offset costs as well. We selected a national curriculum, and of course we had to adjust it for a reservation context, but that was fairly easy. I think we're all used to doing that. And then we created a pre and post test just to measure content mastery, because we wanted to continue this partnership and we wanted to show the value of the personal finance training, so we really needed to show some results. And I think that that's the most important thing for sustainability of a program. Next slide, please. So here are some of the results, and I apologize for the kind of weird graph, but what the really bright red color is the pre-test scores. That shows kind of their mastery of knowledge, and we did 16 sessions, and we had about 30 people in each session, and we did it over about a 2-month time period. But if you can see where it grows, the darker red shows the growth that they had at the post-test time. So we were pretty proud of that. Overall, we averaged a mastery of content of about 55%, and that was only after 3 hours of training. So, they started with a 55% mastery, and then we grew it to 80%. And so this was a good piece of evidence to show Tribe the investment that personal finance training has, if you're willing to invest in it. And there was a good response to it, and they want to continue doing this for new employees and sort of the turnover that they have within their tribe. Next. So anything else, I guess, if I would just say implications, for future practice when doing this, be sure that your community is ready for this. It took 15 years for us to prime our market, for them to realize the importance of personal finance. I think that was easy, or it wasn't easy, it took some time. And then, ensuring that you have the opportunity to generate some revenue and that you're not losing money on something like this. Plus, if you value it with a monetary amount, it seems to psychologically invest people in the training more. And then just seek opportunities to increase the local effect of your strategies. Maybe there's another organization like the hospital that needs this type of training. So continue to look for that and show the results from your first training, but it should be a community-wide approach. And the last is just speaking a little bit about the wraparound services provided. This is Callie. She was one of the youth interns that I talked about. She completed an internship at a youth project, and she participated in those match savings programs and received similar personal finance training as what those tribal employees did. She was awarded a scholarship from Four-Bands for her outstanding work at high school, and then she was able to take about $6,300 from all of her match savings programs and apply it toward a college fund. And so she's scheduled to graduate in 2018 from a local or a state college, and her intentions are to come back to the reservation to help kids. So we really enjoyed having her, and she's sort of the poster child for wraparound services and emphasis on personal finance training and savings goals. So I can answer questions at the end of the slide, but here's a little bit of my contact information. The website, like I mentioned, the Native CDFI Network number, and also South Dakota Indian Business Alliance is another organization we partner with across the state. So please feel free to contact me or ask questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakota. That was a great presentation. It is time to move on to our next presenter, and of course he can't talk until I unmute him. Kadam Fisher is a community and economic development professional who has worked with South Dakota communities and reservations since 2009. He received certificates of completion in Weaving Your Financial Future through South Dakota State University, Building Native Communities, Financial Skills for Families through First Nation Awista Corporation, and is an accredited credit coach. Try to say accredited credit coach 3 times fast. His work has primarily been conducted in collaboration with various organizations on the Pine Ridge Reservation, and also with contractors and subcontractors and around South and North Dakota. Kadam's strengths are enhancing and utilizing local assets to establish community-driven solutions for local needs. So, I am going to turn it over to Kadam. It's all yours. In fact, I'm going to give you the keyboard because I know you need to use that.
Well, thank you very much, Rondell, for that introduction, and I'd like to also thank the Eastern Region Training and Technical Assistance Center for the opportunity today to talk a little bit about Lakota Funds and some of the programs and services that we offer here on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Lakota Funds Incorporated is a nonprofit community-based organization that provides multiple programs to promote economic development for the Oglala Lakota people of the Pine Ridge Reservation. PLFI offers business loans packaged with technical assistance, business management assistance, marketing business management education to enrolled members of the tribe residing on the reservation who operate or are starting businesses. just to give you a little bit of an idea of where I'm at and where, you know, a lot of our services and products are offered. We are the 8th largest reservation in the United States, consisting of 3,469 square miles. And this includes all of Shannon County and parts of Jackson and Bennett County in the southwestern portion of South Dakota. And what we consider is this is primarily our service area. Lakota Funds was certified in 1992 as a community development financial institution designated to provide lending and assistance for businesses on the Pine Ridge Reservation. This certification brings additional resources to the community in the area of lending. Both designations pinpoint Lakota Funds primarily the community as Native entrepreneurs, both existing and potential. The Lakota Funds connects to this community and the total reservation in multiple ways in addition to formal designations. The organizations as a whole in connection by providing a variety of programs for children, youth, and adults to encourage families to become financially literate and to build assets through goal-oriented regular savings, credit building, and wise use of credit, and amongst other strategies. Staff and volunteers provide free tax preparation for low-income families and encourage investment of refunds into long-term benefits like education or starting business. These developmental activities are necessary before any individual can consider starting a business. Responsible lending combined with technical assistance to facilitate success for startups as well as existing businesses are the primary connections to the Ogallala world of business. In addition, the Lakota Funds board and staff are almost completely all enrolled tribal members of the Ogallala Sioux tribe. And oftentimes connect with their neighbors as volunteers, neighbors, friends, especially to listen to their concerns and hopes for the Ogallala Nation and their families. Lakota Funds plays a vital role in the economic resurgence that is happening on the Pine Ridge Reservation by implementing a combination of asset building and lending programs to build wealth within the communities that we serve. The slide that you're looking at here are some of the services that we actually offer. The sustainable effects of our programs lie in the holistic approach we take to permanently breaking a cycle of poverty. For example, at Lakota Funds, our business loan clients also receive training on how to start and operate a business along with individualized success coaching. We also offer a suite of products specifically designed to help our clients build assets. And you'll notice this in the personal growth and asset building column. The credit builder loan, financial literacy classes, home buyer education, a match savings program or individual development program, as we've often heard them called, free tax preparation through our volunteer income tax assistance, VITA sites, and housing programs. Just as an example and to play off what Rondell has talked about with our VITA sites, I have some statistics from our last year's. We were actually a volunteer income tax preparation site. Some of the results that we've had in 2013 is we prepared 328 returns, $431,648 in total EITC, and that averages out to about $1,316 per return. $847,552 in total refunds throughout 2013, and that's an average of $2,584 per return. The estimating savings in tax preparation dollars, that means money that would have went off of our reservation to prepare H&R Block, let's say for example, we've managed to keep about $70,520 of tax money here on our reservation. Often our clients start in there, and we'll work at this so I can kind of show you how this kind of flows through our organization. Most often our clients start in the personal growth and asset building category in order to prepare for successful business ownership. In addition, we also invest in our youth by offering many of the same asset building products. Our most recent program is the Child Development Account Program. and this is funded by the Northwest Area Foundation, which targets children as young as kindergarten. I'll actually explain a little bit more about these programs with some case studies in a moment. We believe that all of these components and program areas are intertwined. For example, you cannot achieve long-term sustainable results without investing in your youth population. You also cannot have a stable local business environment without first building the financial skills of your population. So here is a quick chart, and I'll go over these really quick. I'm actually wanting to get to a live demonstration of the most recent thing that we have going on with our online learning center. This is our loan portfolio, and as you can see from 2008 up until 2012, we've measured number of microloans, credit builder, and consumer loans. You'll note that we're gradually on the increase, which is a good thing. So to get a little more in depth of the micro and small business loans, as you can see in 2008, we've approved $335,000 in micro and small business loans, as compared to 2012 when we reached $564,000 in micro and small business loans. And when we look at these loans, we look at these loans as employment opportunities not only for the business owner themselves, but any other employees taken on through the startup stage, expansion stage, and really providing jobs in an area that is heavily a lot of unemployment. You might say, as Lakota mentioned, that we're a CDFI as well, and so we deal with a lot of high-risk lending. And like Lakota also said, we often get clients that were turned down by a traditional lending institution. Even considering that, through the work that we provide, our technical assistance, our success coaching really sets us apart, and really we have to credit that to the low delinquency rates and charge-offs that we actually can handle a portfolio without a lot of loss. Our business, all of our business loans, even with our asset building, we always have the education component. You'll see that there's been great need and great demand for the trainings that we offer. A great increase from 2009 at 984 people that actually attended our trainings, and we're actually pushing closer to the mid-2000s for 2014. So we've had people even just attend our trainings just to strengthen themselves in their personal lives by taking our financial literacy courses. We work a lot with our Oglala Lakota College here, and the students that attend that college to help with budget and spending plans as well. The jobs created or retained, this is a measure that we get from the business and working with the business owners as we provide TA throughout startup, throughout expansion and whatever. We're able to get some hard, concrete numbers from those businesses and really pinpoint a number of jobs created or retained as a result from our business loans. And also with our match savings program, our IDA, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the success stories here in a minute. In 2009, we had $32,000 in IDA cash outs. 2012, $119,000. IDA asset purchases, individual development accounts. We want the saver to just, the main thing is creating a savings habit, and so we've measured the asset purchases in each one of the goals of saving to either get a home, down payment on a home, to further their education, and also to apply that money for a startup business. And as you can see, from 2008 to 2012, we have 10 IDA home asset purchases, 20 in education, and 26 in business. To demonstrate the on-the-ground effects of our programs, I'm now going to share some of our client stories. And the first person I want to talk about is Denise Redow. So Denise Redow was a previous IDA saver. She actually wanted to get her son and grandson into our child development account program. And this CDA program is really the first of its kind on an Indian reservation, and it focuses on building the family core. Lakota Fund seeds each child development account with a $50 deposit and matches that participating family's deposits by a 3-to-1 ratio. In addition to participating in children and families take part in training and education to provide a solid foundation that helps children understand the benefits of saving and how to be responsible for their account. Starting in the first grade, children attend monthly lessons that include financial literacy education and child development activities. Each family also attends quarterly meetings where they participate in financial literacy and family budgeting activities. So a couple of years ago, Denise Redow participated in Lakota Fund's Match Savings Program, our IDA account, where she learned through her firsthand experience the value of saving. So when she heard of Lakota Fund's new Child Development Account program, Match Savings Program designed for children as young as kindergarten, she jumped on the opportunity. Currently, Denise's son, Presley Redow, at the time of this picture, age 7, and grandson Sean Janice, age 6, are enrolled in the Child Development Account program and on their way towards savings for a brighter future. Denise, at the time, explained that the boys were very excited about the program, which has stimulated their interest in concepts of money, banking, and savings. She told them, I told them we need to teach them how to do their financial stuff so they know what to do when they grow up. She explained, kids are like sponges. They soak it right up. She also explained to the boys that they'll be making deposits into a bank account to save for school and that they will go to classes to learn about money. Denise is grateful that the Child Development Account program will give her son and grandson the knowledge they need to successfully manage their money as adults. She explains that her generation and her parents' generation didn't emphasize money management and didn't know how much about it. She quotes, "My parents just spend money as soon as they got it. They didn't think about savings." Without this essential knowledge, Denise, she actually ended up getting into some financial trouble on her own. She recounts her personal experiences, explaining it as, I got a credit card and went crazy with it. And I got some more, and all of a sudden I had bad credit because I couldn't afford it. Although Denise didn't have the opportunity to learn how to manage her finances at a younger age, she wishes her generation would have learned about it sooner. Denise has learned from her mistakes and has built her financial management skills through Lakota Fund's Match Savings Program and financial literacy classes. Now she is making a difference for the next generation by emphasizing the importance of wise resource management to her children and grandchildren. But the benefits of saving for young children don't stop there. Denise is literally stopping the cycle of poverty for her family. Children who have a savings account are 7 times more likely to go to college and earn a 4-year degree. Presley and Sean, even at the ages of 6 and 7, are in a position to learn more, save more, and earn more than their parents and grandparents. Another story I'd like to share with you all is Katie Hunter. Katie was a business saver in the Individual Development Account program. She completed financial literacy and business courses. And she actually used her savings and match to start first ever dollar store on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Our Individual Development Account program is a match savings program that is based on our traditional Lakota value of wise resource management. The program provides participants with the capital, incentive, and support to achieve their financial goals and to build a brighter future for the family. Once enrolled in the IDA program, a participant opens their savings account and makes minimum monthly deposits of as little as $25 for at least 6 months and up to a maximum savings time of up to 2 years. Lakota funds deposits, and this kind of just depends on each one. $3 for every $1. At the time when Katie was savings, it was a 3-to-1 match. So we would put in $3 for every dollar that she put into the savings account. Adult participants can deposit up to $1,440, and Lakota funds deposits up to $4,320 for a grand total, a cash out of $5,760 to be used towards asset-specific purchases. Youth participants can deposit up to $720, and Lakota funds matches up to $2,160 for a grand total of $2,880 for a cash out. Upon completion of the program, participants can withdraw their savings to attain post-secondary education, start or expand a business. Adult participants can also choose to purchase a home. We've had our adults that went through the home IDA asset purchase. We've seen them work with another local program, Muziska, which is a mortgager here on the reservation, and they use that IDA monies as their 1% or their down payment on a new home. So very useful. All participants, no matter what they're saving for, attend monthly support meetings and complete asset-specific training. So to talk a little bit more about Katie Hunter, she completed her IDA program, and after completing, and she was actually a student while she was saving in the interior design program at South Dakota State University. She moved back to the Pine Ridge Reservation and began looking for work. Well, she knew she probably wouldn't find employment. With her field, she didn't expect that her bachelor's degree would create a barrier to securing a job. She quotes, "People just keep telling me they didn't need an interior designer. They didn't understand that I had other skills too." So when Katie discovered, at the time she discovered her match savings, when she was in her match savings program, she kind of changed up her strategy. So she saw this asset building program as a way for her to obtain startup capital and make her own job. Katie entered into the match savings program with a clear objective in mind, to start a dollar store on the Pine Ridge Reservation. She felt that a dollar store would be a win-win for everybody. After saving for 6 months and partnering with a past employer for additional investment, Katie opened Dollar Hunter, the first ever dollar store on the reservation, and that was in April of 2012. She is still currently operating today. The majority of local residents have to travel over 100 miles to purchase items for everyday living. With already tight budgets, travel expenses can break a family budget. Now residents can avoid excess travel costs and boost their local economy by purchasing goods and supplies for their household, baby, pets, and parties at the Dollar Hunter store. Katie states that being self-employed does have its perks, but there are also many challenges to being a business owner on the reservation. Finding a storefront to lease was difficult in itself. Now balancing the high cost of rent while trying to keep prices low is another challenge she's facing now that she's been open for some time. The reservation, the infrastructure necessary to build a strong retail market, and the few spaces that are available ask outrageous prices. Katie and her partner are exploring alternatives such as purchasing or building a new location so they can continue to offer the lowest prices possible to their customers. Katie explains that despite these challenges, she wouldn't change her situation. As a new mother, being self-employed gives her the option of bringing her child to work and getting her own hours so that she can balance family and work. She explains she doesn't have to give up being a mother just so that she can work. She feels good that she's able to contribute financially to her family while she provides much-needed products for local residents. And one more story I have is of Donnie and Chris Morrison. So almost 15 years ago, Lakota Funds made history by creating the first Native American tax credit finance low-income housing project in America. We coined it the Eagle Nest Housing. This is located in Wombly, South Dakota, here on our reservation. It's comprised of 30 homes ranging from 2 to 4 bedrooms on 1-acre lots. Since 1997, Eagle Nest Housing has provided low-income families with affordable housing. Now, as the tax credit agreements are reaching maturity, the current tenants have the opportunity to purchase their homes. For Donnie and Chris, who have lived in their home in the Eagle Nest Housing for 6 years, this is one of their wildest dreams that is coming true. Oftentimes, housing is a very big challenge here, and this is one of the things that they thought as tenants that would never have, would come to being a reality. Her husband, Chris, once had hundreds of acres of land that was left to him by his mother, but sold it for a mere $250 an acre because there just wasn't anything he felt that he could do with it, because much of the Indian land is held in trust by the federal government here on a reservation. It almost makes it impossible for tribal members to build a home or to utilize their land for anything. The Morrisons were one of a handful of Eagle Nest Housing tenants that attended a meeting hosted by Lakota Funds at the start of the year to begin preparing from the transition from renter to home owner. All tenants in development have been given first right of refusal to purchase their homes when they go on the market, and that just happened in 2014, as well as the opportunity to participate in a range of educational courses that will help them to become successful homeowners. So the Morrisons are very excited, and now they're looking forward to doing their own home improvements. They're really taking a step back from being renters and owning their homes, and so they're excited about making it their own and personalizing it. They're focusing on improving. They also, prior to getting an opportunity to apply for their home, they completed our financial education with the focus on improving their credit score. Next up is we're working through a home preparedness course, which we also put on. Morrisons are most proud of the fact that they will be able to leave a legacy for their own 2 daughters. And I also want to talk about the Lakota Federal Credit Union. They received, Lakota Funds was actually a sponsor in helping set up the Lakota Federal Credit Union, which, I'd like to announce that they did receive their charter from the NCUA in November of 2012. They're the first and only federally insured financial institution on the reservation. Their mission is to provide quality financial services conveniently located at home here in a helpful, professional, and respectful manner to provide effective tools for its members, the Oglala people, to save, plan, and provide for the future. Currently, Lakota Federal Credit Union offers savings account, direct deposits, check cashing, as well as other cash services and consumer loans. So in the first 16 weeks, the credit union has opened more than 550 new members open savings account, 110 of which were approved for loans totaling over $254,000. So that just goes to show you how underserved this area was prior to the Lakota Federal Credit Union opening its doors. So what are the possibilities for the future? Well, it's only up to, it's really, I like to say this in our area, when we talk about reservations and we talk about Pine Ridge, even Cheyenne River, and us being the poorest or them being the poorest, we oftentimes get a negative view of ourselves, or the outside has a negative view. As a person that works with economic development, I explain it as there's just tons of opportunity to develop, to grow, to work with a lot of the various programs, to focus on one general idea, and that's to make where we live a better place by providing opportunities. So what we're pushing for is a bright, thriving economy. We want good jobs at livable wages. We want to increase financial skills, increase wealth and assets. We want to provide more local goods and services, and we want to focus on improving our infrastructure. With strategic investments, the possibilities for growing the local economy, increasing wealth, and permanently breaking the cycle of poverty on a Pine Ridge Reservation are endless. Well, I wanted to thank you all for giving me some time, telling you a little bit about Lakota Funds and what we do and the products and services that we offer. I would like anybody that wanted additional information to go ahead and get a hold of me. You can either email me at kfisher@lakotafunds.org. And I really strongly suggest checking out our online business education courses through the Building Native Industry Institute, an ANA-funded project, by visiting lakotafunds.org/learning center. With that being said, thank you for today, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
That was a great presentation, Kadam, and I'm sorry we didn't get to go on and take a closer look at all the hard work that you've done with your current ANA project. It's very, very impressive, folks, so if you do get a chance, please do go visit the Lakota Fund website and take a look at their online business classes. We are going to go to questions. We will take questions for a few minutes. I'm going to move over to the resource slides so you can take a look at some of the websites that I have listed there. If you have if you're on the phone or have a microphone on your computer, you can raise your hand and we will go ahead and unmute you so you can ask a question. Otherwise, if you're not comfortable in asking the question yourself, you can certainly type the question into the question box located on your control panel. Before we do that, there was one little thing that I forgot to mention as I was talking about the NABI program, and that is the funding opportunity announcement is out for NABI. It is not due until March 25th, so you have a little less than a month to pull it together if you are interested. A NABI project is not an easy one to pull together, as I'm sure both Lakota and Kadam can tell you. It requires partnerships and a lot of planning, but it's well worth the impact that savings has both on the overall reservation economy as well as to the individuals that participate is just miraculous. For those of you who didn't get slide presentations, check in your junk box, junk mail in your email, because the presentation was sent out to everybody just before the webinar started. So you may not have seen it yet, but it is there. And if you can't find it, just go ahead and email me after the presentation. My email will be on the follow-up email that comes, or go on to the email that you got when you registered. It also has my email address on it. Alrighty, well, since we don't have any questions, the resources that are listed are, of course, the IRS website, CMS, where you can get more information regarding the American Indian and Alaskan Native special provisions in the Affordable Care Act. You can also get a copy of the NABI funding announcement, which is this middle link here. The bottom, or the second from the bottom link, is more information about Assets for Independence, and then the very bottom link is some resources about running IDA programs. As you all are aware, ANA hosts webinars on a regular basis. We are now doing them twice a month. Webinars are going to be held every other Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Our next webinar will be March 12th, and it's concerning starting a language program. And the webinar after that will be how to sustain a language program, other funding sources. So if you are interested in language programs, please visit and register for these. The registration will be up on the ANA webpage under the Events tab. If they aren't up now, they'll be up. Well, the March 12th registration is up. The March 26th will be up shortly. We want to thank you all very much for your attendance today. This webinar has been recorded. It will be made 508 compliant and then will be uploaded onto the ANA website under the Events tab, or go into the Resources tab and type in webinar and press enter, and a list of recorded webinars should come up there. I really want to thank both of our presenters today. They did an absolutely excellent job. I really appreciate all the great information that they have given. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate your attention. We hope that you enjoyed our webinar today. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you, Lakota and Kadam. You did an absolutely wonderful job. I really appreciate you presenting for us today. That's it for us this time, folks. Hopefully we will see you on March 12th for How to Start a Language Program. Take care. Have a good afternoon.